The classroom floated in the void of space, its transparent walls offering a view of distant stars and nebulas. Inside, 23 students from across the galaxy sat at their designated stations, each workstation modified to accommodate their unique physiology. Some students required water tanks, others needed enhanced gravity fields, and a few existed as clouds of gas contained within force fields. Instructor Velthar drifted at the front of the room, its crystalline body refracting the artificial light into rainbow patterns across the walls. The luminary professor had taught xenobiology for 70 standard years, and prided itself on creating engaging curriculum for its diverse students. Attention, class. Velthar's voice resonated through the translation devices each student wore. Today I will assign your semester project. This assignment will count for 40% of your final grade. The students shifted in their seats, appendages twitching with anticipation or anxiety depending on their species' emotional expressions. Velthar's core pulsed with a warm amber glow. Each of you will bring a predator species from your homeworld for behavioral study. You will document its hunting patterns, social structures, and survival adaptations. This will help us understand the diversity of predatory evolution across the galaxy. A ripple of concerned murmurs spread through the classroom. Crix, an insectoid student from the hive worlds, raised one of his 6 limbs. His translator crackled to life. Instructor, what are the safety protocols for this assignment? An excellent question, Velthar responded, its body shifting to a pleased green hue. Each predator must be contained in a Class 3 containment field at minimum. You will present your findings in the main laboratory, which has emergency force fields, tranquilizer systems, and medical teams on standby. Thornbeak, an avian student whose species dominated the wind-swept cliffs of Eros Prime, ruffled her crimson feathers. Will we receive hazard pay for this assignment? Her beak clicked with what might have been amusement or concern. This is an academic institution, not a combat zone, Velthar said, though its color flickered to uncertain yellow for a moment. However, I will authorize additional safety equipment for anyone who requires it. The students began discussing among themselves, their voices creating a cacophony of chirps, clicks, hums, and whistles that the translation system struggled to process. I will bring a spiketail from the southern deserts, Crix announced to his neighbors. They are ambush predators with paralytic venom. Very efficient hunters. My species evolved alongside the sky renders, Thornbeak said proudly. Pack hunters with incredible aerial coordination. They can strip a herbivore to bones in under 3 minutes. A gelatinous student named Blorp bubbled excitedly about the acid spitters from its ocean world, while a rocky student from a high-gravity planet described the crushing power of its homeworld's apex predator. In the back corner of the classroom, Jiwan sat quietly, her dark eyes bright with interest. She was the only human in the class, one of merely 50 humans currently attending the Galactic Academy Station Epsilon 7. Her species had only joined the galactic community 15 years ago, and humans remained a curiosity to most aliens. Jiwan raised her hand, her movements smooth and controlled in the station's standard gravity. Instructor Velthar, can I bring the most efficient predator from Earth? The classroom fell silent. Every student turned to look at the human. Velthar's crystalline body flickered through several colors rapidly, a sign of processing complex thoughts. The most efficient predator from Earth? Yes, Jiwan said with a bright smile. I think it would be really educational for everyone. Crix's antennae twitched nervously. The insectoid had done research on Earth when he learned a human would be joining their class. What he discovered had given him nightmares for weeks. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, one of the highest danger ratings in the known galaxy. It had aggressive weather patterns, dangerous radiation levels from its yellow sun, crushing gravity compared to most civilized worlds, and worst of all, an evolutionary arms race that had produced some of the most horrifying predators ever documented. Is that wise? Crix asked carefully, trying not to offend his human classmate. Earth predators are known to be particularly robust. Oh, don't worry, Jiwan said cheerfully. I'll make sure everything is safe. The one I'm thinking of is actually really well behaved. Thornbeak's feathers stood on end. She had also researched Earth after meeting Jiwan. The images she found still haunted her dreams. Great white sharks that could bite through steel, bears that could crush skulls with a single swipe, pack-hunting wolves ambushing crocodiles, Venomous snakes and spiders, and worst of all, the horrifying creatures called hippos that killed more humans than any other large animal. Yet somehow humans still live near them. Perhaps, Velthar said slowly, its color shifting to cautious purple. We should implement additional safety measures for your presentation. Class 5 containment instead of Class 3. And perhaps a secondary force field, and medical teams should be on high alert. And maybe we should have evacuation procedures ready. And that sounds great, Ji-won interrupted happily. Whatever you think is necessary. I'm just excited to share. I think everyone will be surprised. Surprised? Blorp bubbled quietly to Crix. The human says we will be surprised. That is what concerns me. Crix whispered back. Velthar continued with the class, explaining the requirements for the presentation. Each student would need to document the predator's natural habitat, hunting techniques, diet, social behavior, and evolutionary advantages. They would have 20 minutes to present their findings, followed by 10 minutes for questions. Throughout the rest of the lecture, the students kept glancing at Ji-won, who took notes enthusiastically and asked intelligent questions about predatory behavior classification systems. She seemed completely oblivious to the growing anxiety around her. When class ended, Velthar called out, "Remember, presentations will be in 3 weeks. Please submit your containment requirements to the station's safety office within 5 days." The students filed out of the classroom in their various ways, walking, flying, slithering, rolling. Ji-won packed her tablet into her bag, humming a cheerful tune. Crix approached her cautiously, his 6 legs moving in a nervous pattern. "Ji-won, may I ask which Earth predator you plan to bring?" "I want it to be a surprise," Ji-won said with a grin. "But I promise it's a good one. One of Earth's most successful predatory species." "Most successful," Crix repeated faintly. His translator might have added a trembling quality to his voice, though it was hard to tell. "Yeah, I'm going to call my brother Minho tonight. He'll help me get everything ready back home and then ship it here in time for presentations." "Ship it," Crix said. "From Earth, a predator." "Don't worry so much," Ji-won said, patting him on what might have been his shoulder. The touch made Crix freeze, an instinctive response to potential danger. "It's going to be educational and fun. I really think it'll help everyone understand Earth biology better." She walked away, still humming, leaving Crix standing in the empty classroom. Thornbeak landed beside him, her talons clicking on the floor. "She seems very confident." "Yes," Crix agreed. "That is what terrifies me. Should we warn the others?" "Warn them about what?" "We do not even know what she is bringing." "Exactly," Thornbeak said grimly. "We do not know, and that human is smiling." The 2 students looked at each other, sharing a moment of cross-species understanding. In their research about Earth, they had learned one important fact that no survival guide explicitly stated but every entry implied. When a human smiled that confidently about bringing a predator to class, it was time to prepare for the unexpected, and possibly update one's will. News traveled fast on Galactic Academy Station Epsilon 7. By the next morning, every student in the Xenobiology department knew that the human was bringing an Earth predator for the semester project. By afternoon, the story had spread to other departments. By evening, it had reached the station's administrative offices. In the student dormitory commons area, a group of students gathered around a holographic display, searching through Earth's biological database. What they found did not comfort them. "Look at this one," said a reptilian student named Scales. He projected an image of a saltwater crocodile. "It can hold its breath for hours, has the strongest bite force ever measured, and can perform a death roll to tear apart prey. And humans live near these things. On purpose, that is nothing," Blorp bubbled, bringing up another image. "Look at the orca, apex predator of Earth's oceans. It hunts in packs using complex communication and strategy. Some pods have been observed playing with their prey before killing it. They are smart enough to teach hunting techniques to their young." Crix added another file to the display. "The human homeworld has something called a honey badger. It is small but fights animals many times its size. It has been documented attacking lions, raiding beehives despite thousands of stings, and eating venomous snakes. When bitten by a cobra, it simply falls unconscious, then wakes up and continues eating the snake. Why would evolution create such a creature?" Thornbeak asked in horror. "Earth is a death world," Crix said simply. "Everything there evolved to be aggressive or die. And the human is bringing the most efficient predator," Scales reminded them. "Not the strongest. Not the most dangerous. The most efficient. The students looked at each other with growing dread. Meanwhile, 3 decks above, Station Security Chief Taijin reviewed the updated safety protocols for the xenobiology presentations. Taijin was a quadran, a species that evolved on a peaceful grassland world where the most dangerous creature was a mildly annoying flying insect. His 4 eyes could see in almost all directions at once, which made him excellent at security work, but also meant he could not escape seeing all the horrible Earth creatures on the reports his staff kept bringing him. "Sir," said one of his deputies, a nervous being made of living gas. The human submitted her containment requirements. "And?" Taijin asked, bracing himself. "She requested a Class 3 containment field, standard atmosphere, and a carpeted presentation area." Taijin's eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of confusion. "That is all?" "That is all, sir. The human is bringing an Earth predator and only needs Class 3 containment?" Taijin's voice rose with concern. "Either she is severely underestimating the danger or we are severely underestimating the predator. What should we do, sir?" "Implement Class 7 containment," Taijin ordered. "Multiple force field layers, emergency blast doors, tranquilizer systems, medical teams on standby, evacuation routes clearly marked, and have a combat response team ready." "Sir, is that not excessive? Have you read the reports about Earth?" Taijin demanded. "There is a creature there called a duck-billed platypus. It looks cute and harmless. It has venomous spurs that cause pain so severe that morphine cannot stop it. If their cute creatures are weaponized, imagine what their predators are like." The deputy wisely did not argue further. In her dormitory room, Jiwon sat at her desk, connected to a video call with Earth. On the screen, her younger brother Minho appeared, sitting in their family home in Seoul. "So you need me to ship them to the station?" Minho asked, grinning. "Are you sure your alien friends are ready for this?" "Oh, they're probably overthinking it," Jiwon said, waving her hand dismissively. "You know how cautious aliens can be. They kept asking me about safety protocols and containment fields. I think they're expecting me to bring something dangerous." "Well, technically," Minho started. "It'll be fine," Jiwon interrupted. "Can you get them ready and ship them in the special container? The one with temperature control and the comfortable padding?" "Already ordered," Minho confirmed. "They'll arrive in 2 weeks, plenty of time before your presentation. I included their favorite toys and some treats for the journey." "You're the best brother ever," Jiwon said warmly. "I know," Minho replied, "though I still think you should warn them about what's coming." "Where's the fun in that?" Jiwon laughed. "Besides, this is educational. They need to understand Earth biology properly." After ending the call, Jiwon turned to find her roommate Hyeri standing in the doorway. Hyeri was from a species called the thornbacks, herbivorous creatures covered in protective spikes. Her world was technically classified as a death world too, though much lower on the danger scale than Earth. "You are really going through with this?" Hyeri asked, her spikes rattling with anxiety. "Of course," Jiwon said cheerfully. "Why wouldn't I?" "Because everyone is terrified," Hyeri said, entering the room and closing the door. "The other students are researching Earth predators and having nightmares. The security chief is implementing emergency protocols. Instructor Velthar's color has been stuck on nervous purple for 2 days. They're overreacting," Jiwon said, though her expression softened. "Look, I know Earth has a scary reputation, but what I'm bringing is actually going to help them understand humans better. Trust me." "You keep saying it is safe," Hyeri said, settling onto her specialized sitting platform. "But you also said the same thing about Earth food, and then you fed me something called kimchi that burned my mouth for 3 hours." "Okay, that was my fault," Jiwon admitted. "I forgot other species aren't used to spicy food. But this is different. What I'm bringing isn't dangerous to anyone. Well, not dangerous to us anyway." "That qualifier does not make me feel better," Hyeri said. Over the next few days, the anxiety on the station continued to build. Students who were not even in the xenobiology class began asking questions. Rumors spread and mutated. Some said the human was bringing a creature called a tiger that could bite through bone. Others whispered about Komodo dragons with septic bites that caused slow, agonizing death. A few claimed she was bringing something called a polar bear that could smell prey from 20 miles away. Instructor Velthar held an emergency meeting with the xenobiology students to review safety procedures. The crystalline professor's body flickered between colors so rapidly it created a strobe effect. Everyone must maintain a safe distance from the containment field, Velthar instructed. Do not make sudden movements. Do not make loud noises. Follow all evacuation procedures if an alarm sounds. Instructor, asked a small, furry student named Whiskers. Has anyone actually asked the human what she is bringing? Velthar's colors settled into embarrassed orange. She says she wants it to be a surprise. A surprise, Crix repeated. An Earth predator. As a surprise. Perhaps we should reconsider this assignment, suggested Thornbeak. Maybe predators are too dangerous for classroom study. No, Velthar said firmly, its color shifting to determined red. This is a learning institution. We must face our fears and expand our knowledge. Besides, I have reviewed Earth's galactic entry protocols. They are very strict about which biological materials can leave their planet. If the human received approval, it must be safe enough. The key words being safe enough, Crix muttered. 2 weeks after G1 placed her order, a heavily marked container arrived at the station's cargo bay. The shipping labels included biohazard warnings, temperature sensitivity notices, and live animal stamps in 12 different galactic languages. The cargo handlers refused to move it until security arrived. Tajin personally inspected the container, his 4 eyes examining every label and seal. He could hear movement inside, along with occasional soft sounds that his translator could not interpret. It is alive, he confirmed to his team. And moving around. Should we scan it, sir? Asked a deputy. No, Tajin decided. The scanning might agitate the creature. Just transport it to the xenobiology lab's holding area. Carefully, very carefully. The container was moved by remote-controlled drone to avoid any handler getting too close. It was placed in a reinforced holding room with multiple containment fields ready to activate at a moment's notice. Jiwon received notification that her package had arrived. She sent a message to Minho. They arrived safely. Thanks so much. Can't wait for presentation day. In the student commons, Crick saw Jiwon checking her messages and smiling. He immediately sent alerts to his classmates. The predator has arrived. May the ancestors protect us all. That night, station security implemented rotating watch schedules around the holding area. They heard occasional sounds from inside the container, scratching, soft whimpering, and movements that suggested more than one creature. How many did she bring? One guard wondered. I do not want to know, replied another. 3 days before presentation day, Velthar announced the presentation order. Jiwon would go last, which meant 3 weeks of building tension would culminate in whatever emerged from that container. The countdown had begun. The xenobiology laboratory had been transformed into a fortress. Force fields crisscrossed the room at multiple levels, creating layers of protective barriers. Emergency blast doors had been installed at every entrance. Medical teams waited in adjacent rooms with equipment prepared for injuries from Earth fauna. Security personnel lined the walls, equipped with tranquilizer weapons and emergency evacuation protocols. The students filed in nervously, taking their seats as far from the presentation area as possible. Even Instructor Velthar had positioned itself behind a reinforced barrier, though it tried to maintain an educational atmosphere despite its color flickering between nervous purple and terrified gray. Welcome to presentation day, Velthar announced, its voice only slightly trembling. Each student will have 20 minutes to present their findings on predatory behavior. Please remember to stay calm and follow all safety procedures. Crix went first. His containment unit was wheeled in by remote drone, inside which a spiketail prowled with lethal grace. The creature resembled a scorpion the size of a large dog, with crystalline armor and a venomous stinger that dripped with paralytic toxins. The spiketail is an ambush predator from the desert regions of my homeworld, Crix explained, maintaining a safe distance from the containment field. It can survive for months without food, buried beneath the sand. When prey approaches, it strikes with incredible speed. The venom causes complete paralysis within seconds, allowing the spiketail to feed on living prey without resistance. The students took notes, though several looked queasy at the description. The spiketail moved with disturbing intelligence, its multiple eyes tracking every movement in the room. Fascinating adaptation, Velthar commented. How does it select prey targets? Heat signatures and vibration detection, Crix replied. It can sense a heartbeat through 3 meters of sand. The presentation continued with detailed analysis of hunting patterns, dietary needs, and evolutionary advantages. When Crix finished, the spiketail was carefully removed from the laboratory, still prowling within its containment field. Thornbeak presented next. Her choice was a pack of 3 sky renders, aerial predators from her homeworld that resembled featherless pterodactyls with too many teeth. They flew within a contained gravity field, their movements coordinated with eerie precision. Sky renders hunt in packs of 5 to 20 individuals, Thornbeak explained. Her feathers puffed with pride despite her obvious caution. They use sophisticated communication to coordinate attacks. The lead hunter identifies prey, and the pack surrounds it in a 3-dimensional formation, cutting off all escape routes. She showed video footage of a hunt. The sky renders descended on a herd of herbivores like a living net, their formation tightening until there was no escape. The kill was efficient and brutal. The pack share the prey equally based on social hierarchy, Thornbeak continued. Younger members learn hunting techniques by observing elders. This cultural transmission of knowledge makes them increasingly efficient predators over generations. Remarkable, Velthar said, though its color remained cautious. What is their success rate? Approximately 90% for coordinated pack hunts, Thornbeak replied. More presentations followed. Blorp showed video of acid spitters from its ocean world, creatures that could dissolve prey from the inside out. Scales brought a hypnotic predator that paralyzed victims with mesmerizing light patterns before striking. Whiskers presented data on pack hunters from her forest world that used cooperative tactics to bring down prey 50 times their size. Each presentation was thorough, educational, and appropriately terrifying. The students learned about ambush tactics, pack coordination, venom delivery systems, and countless variations on the theme of killing to survive. Finally, after 6 hours of presentations, only 1 student remained. And now, Velthar announced, its entire crystalline body now a steady gray of resignation. Jiwan will present her findings on Earth predatory species. The room fell silent. Security personnel straightened, hands moving to tranquilizer weapons. Medical teams activated their equipment. Students gripped their seats or whatever appendages they used for gripping. Jiwan stood up with a bright smile, completely oblivious to the tension. I'm so excited to share this with everyone. She walked toward the holding area, where her container had been kept under constant guard for 3 weeks. 2 security officers stepped back as she approached, as if she might be more dangerous than whatever was inside. Before I begin, Jiwan said, turning to face the class, I want everyone to know that what I'm bringing is completely safe. There's no need for weapons or medical teams or blast doors, but I appreciate everyone taking this so seriously. Safe is relative when discussing Earth biology, Crix muttered to Thornbeak. Just proceed, please, Velthar said weakly. Jiwan opened the holding room door. The security feeds showed her entering the space where the container had been stored. She was alone with an Earth predator. Every eye sensor and optical organ in the laboratory focused on the live video feed. They heard Jiwan's voice, muffled through the door. Hey, did you miss me? Yes, you did. Who's ready to meet everyone? There were sounds of movement, something scratching, then high-pitched sounds that the translators could not identify. Jiwan emerged from the holding room carrying a simple cardboard box with air holes punched in the sides. Not a reinforced containment unit. Not a force field cage. A cardboard box. She walked to the presentation area, set the box down gently and smiled at her audience. Ready? No one answered. Velthar's color had gone completely transparent with shock. Jiwan opened the box. 2 small creatures tumbled out onto the carpeted presentation area. They had 4 legs, fur in patches of brown and white, floppy ears and large dark eyes. Their tails wagged back and forth rapidly. They stumbled over each other, making excited high-pitched sounds, then noticed the room full of aliens and froze. For 3 seconds, perfect silence reigned. Then one of the creatures tilted its head to the side, tongue lolling out of its mouth, and made a soft woof sound. Everyone, Jiwan said proudly, meet Bori and Hanul. They're puppies, 8 weeks old, and they're going to help me explain why dogs are actually Earth's most successful predator species. Crix's translator made a sound that might have been a malfunction or a scream. It was hard to tell. Predator? Blorp bubbled faintly. Those are predators? The puppies, apparently bored with sitting still, began exploring the presentation area. Bori, the slightly larger one with brown patches, found a toy ball and pounced on it with all the fierce intensity of a creature who weighed approximately 3 kilograms. Hanel, mostly white with a brown spot over one eye, discovered the edge of the carpet and began chewing it experimentally. "I know what you're thinking," Jiwan said. "They don't look like the apex predators we've seen today. No venom, no armor, no claws to speak of. Bori and Hanel are actually pretty helpless on their own. An adult dog would be more impressive, but I thought puppies would be better for demonstration purposes." "Demonstration of what?" Thornbeak asked, her voice almost a whisper. "How can these be predators?" Jiwan's smile widened. "That's exactly what my presentation is about. See, when we talk about efficient predators, we're not just talking about physical abilities. We're talking about survival success, and dogs are possibly the most successful predatory species on Earth. With a population over 400 million, they live on every continent. They've survived ice ages, climate changes, and ecosystem collapses." She knelt down, and both puppies immediately ran to her, tripping over their own feet in their excitement. They climbed onto her lap, tails wagging, making happy sounds. "This," Jiwan said, holding up a squirming puppy, "is the key to their success. Let me tell you about domestication, partnership, and why humans decided to modify one of Earth's apex predators into creatures that love us unconditionally." Velthar's color shifted to confused yellow. "Modify? You modified an apex predator?" "Oh yes," Jiwan said cheerfully. "Let me start at the beginning. About 15,000 to 40,000 years ago, there were these predators on Earth called wolves." The room remained silent, but it was no longer the silence of fear. It was the silence of growing horror as the students began to understand what they were actually looking at. These were not the predators. These were the proof of what humans could do to predators. Hanul yawned, showing tiny sharp teeth, then curled up in Jiwan's lap and fell asleep. Bori continued chewing on the toy ball, making small growling sounds that might have been threatening if they were not coming from something that could fit in a shopping bag. "Shall I continue?" Jiwan asked brightly. No one objected, though several students were gripping their seats hard enough to leave marks. Jiwan activated her holographic display, and an image of a wolf appeared in the air above the presentation area. It was large, powerful, with intelligent eyes and teeth designed for tearing flesh. Several students shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "This is Canis lupus, the gray wolf," Jiwan explained. "One of Earth's apex predators. They hunt in packs, can run for hours without stopping, and have bite force strong enough to crush bones. They're intelligent, social, and highly adaptable to different environments." She showed footage of wolves hunting, their coordinated pack tactics bringing down prey much larger than themselves. The efficiency was impressive and frightening. "Now," Jiwan said, gesturing to the puppies at her feet, "look at these two. Bori and Hanul are Canis familiaris, domestic dogs. They share 99.9% of their DNA with wolves." Bori chose that moment to fall off the small platform, land on his back, and wiggle helplessly until Jiwan picked him up. His tail wagged the entire time. "The question," Jiwan continued, "is how did we get from that?" She pointed to the wolf image. "To this." She held up Bori, who licked her face enthusiastically. Velthar's color shifted to curious green, though streaked with cautious purple. "You mentioned modification. Did humans use genetic engineering?" "Not in the way you might think," Jiwan replied. "This was done through selective breeding over thousands of years. Humans took wolf cubs, the ones that were less aggressive and more friendly, and bred them. Then we bred their puppies, choosing the most gentle and loyal ones. Generation after generation, we selected for traits that made them better companions." "Companions?" Crix asked slowly. "Not for fighting?" "Well, also for fighting," Jiwan admitted. "And hunting, herding, guarding, pulling sleds, finding people, detecting dangers, and many other jobs. But the key trait we selected for was this." She snapped her fingers. Both puppies immediately looked at her, their attention completely focused on their human. "Loyalty," Jiwan said. "Dogs are genetically programmed to bond with humans. They want to please us. They want to be near us. They literally evolved to love us." She displayed a timeline showing the domestication of dogs, starting 40,000 years ago. Images showed ancient humans living alongside wolves. Then gradually the wolves becoming smaller, their faces changing, their ears drooping, their tails curling. "We changed their brains," Jiwan explained. "Dogs have been modified to read human facial expressions, respond to our emotions, and understand our pointing gestures. No other animal does this naturally, not even our closest genetic relatives, the other primates. We engineered an entire species to be our perfect partners. Hanul woke up and wandered over to where Scales was sitting. The reptilian student froze as the puppy approached, his survival instincts screaming at him that this was a predator, however small. Hanil sniffed his leg, then sat down and looked up at him with large, innocent eyes, tail wagging. "See?" Jiwon said. Hanul is demonstrating pack-bonding behavior. Dogs instinctively try to become part of any social group they encounter. It is how they survived alongside humans. The aggressive wolves died out or stayed wild. The friendly ones got food, shelter, and protection. Over time, being friendly became more advantageous than being aggressive. But these are not predators, Blorp bubbled. They are companions. Where is the hunting behavior? Jiwon smiled. Let me show you. She pulled a small treat from her pocket. Both puppies immediately snapped to attention, their entire bodies focused on the food in her hand. Their eyes tracked every movement with intense concentration. Bori, sit, Jiwon commanded. The puppy sat, his eyes never leaving the treat. Stay. Bori remained sitting, though his whole body trembled with the effort of staying still when every instinct told him to lunge for the food. Good boy. She tossed the treat, and Bori snatched it from the air with surprising speed and precision, his small jaws closing around it perfectly. That, Jiwon said, is predatory behavior. The focus, the patience, the precise strike. Now watch this. Hanul, come. Hanul ran to her immediately, and Jiwon rewarded her with another treat. Dogs still have all their predatory instincts. We just redirected them. Instead of hunting wild prey, they hunt on our command. Instead of following pack leaders, they follow human commands. We took a predator and made it into a tool that responds to our will. She brought up more images. Dogs in police uniforms tracking criminals. Dogs in military gear detecting explosives. Search and rescue dogs finding people in disasters. Herding dogs controlling livestock with predatory stalking behavior redirected into useful work. Modern working dogs can detect drugs, explosives, diseases, and even some cancers, Jiwon explained. They can track a scent trail days old across miles of terrain. They can be trained to attack on command or protect without command. They can work in teams or alone. And through all of this, they remain loyal to their human partners. Crix raised a limb hesitantly. What happened to the wolves who did not want to be domesticated? Jiwon's expression became more serious. Some populations still exist in the wild, but many went extinct or were eliminated. Earth's megafauna, the large predators, mostly disappeared after humans spread across the planet. Cave bears, dire wolves, saber-toothed cats, giant ground sloths. Some scientists think climate change killed them. Others think humans hunted them to extinction. Or maybe both. The room became very quiet. You exterminated competing predators? Thornbeak asked carefully. Not intentionally as a policy, Jiwon said. It just happened as humans expanded. The predators that competed with us for food or territory disappeared. The ones that learned to work with us survived and thrived. Dogs chose partnership. Their population is now 400 million. Wolves, their wild ancestors, number perhaps 200,000. She let that information settle before continuing. But dogs are not the only example. Humans domesticated cats, which were also predators. We domesticated horses for transportation, cattle for food, chickens for eggs and meat. We keep fish in tanks, birds in cages, reptiles as pets. Some humans even keep more dangerous predators. She showed images that made several students gasp. Humans posing with tigers. Humans swimming with sharks. Humans hand-feeding bears. A human child sleeping next to a fully grown python. We have facilities called zoos where we keep predators from all over Earth just so we can look at them, Jiwon explained. We have aquariums with great white sharks. We have sanctuaries for wolves, lions, and alligators. Some wealthy humans keep dangerous predators as pets even though it is not always legal or safe. Why? Whiskers asked, her small voice filled with genuine confusion. Why would you want to be near predators? Jiwon thought about this for a moment. I think it is because humans are predators too. We are pursuit predators. We evolved to chase prey for hours until it collapsed from exhaustion. We have stamina that outlasts almost any animal. We can survive in almost any climate. We can eat almost anything, and we are smart enough to create weapons, traps, and strategies. She knelt down and picked up both puppies, holding them gently. But we are also social creatures. We form packs just like wolves do. We bond with our family groups and protect them. And somehow our bonding instinct is so strong that we extended it to other species. We looked at wolves and saw potential partners instead of competitors. We made them part of our pack. This is the efficiency you mentioned, Velthar said slowly, its color shifting through several shades of understanding. Not hunting efficiency. Social efficiency. Exactly, Jiwan confirmed. Dogs do not need to be the strongest or fastest or most venomous. They allied themselves with humans and we protect them, feed them and breed them. From a survival standpoint, domestication was the smartest thing wolves ever did. They traded freedom for security and thrived. Bori and Hanul had both fallen asleep in her arms, their small bodies completely relaxed and trusting. The most efficient predator on Earth, Jiwan said quietly, is not the one with the sharpest teeth or the deadliest venom. It is the one smart enough to make allies instead of enemies, and dogs made allies with the apex predator of the planet. She paused, then added with a slight smile, which is us, humans. The implications hung in the air like a physical presence. Every student in the room was recalculating their understanding of Earth, humans, and the nature of predatory success. Any questions? Jiwan asked brightly. The silence stretched for a long moment. Then Scales slowly raised his hand. Yes? Jiwan prompted. Are humans accepting new allies? The laughter that followed was nervous but genuine, breaking the tension that had built throughout the presentation. Even Velthar's color brightened to amused yellow. But underneath the laughter, every alien in the room was thinking the same thing. The human had not brought a predator to class. She had brought evidence that humans were the true apex predator, skilled enough to reprogram other predators into loyal companions. And she had done it while holding 2 sleeping puppies and smiling. The silence after Jiwan's question stretched longer than comfortable. Students looked at each other, then at the puppies, then at Jiwan, trying to reconcile what they had just learned with what they were seeing. 2 small, adorable creatures sleeping peacefully in the arms of a human who had just casually explained how her species had reprogrammed an apex predator to love them. Velthar finally spoke, its crystalline body settling into a steady gold color that indicated deep thought. That was possibly the most educational and disturbing presentation I have witnessed in 70 years of teaching. Jiwan beamed. Thank you. I tried to make it comprehensive. Comprehensive, Crix repeated quietly. Yes, that is one word for it. The instructor drifted closer, though still maintaining a cautious distance. Your analysis of predatory efficiency through social engineering is remarkable. I am awarding you the highest marks for this assignment. Really? Jiwan's face lit up with genuine joy. That is great. Thank you. However, Velthar added, its color flickering to nervous purple, I may need some time to process what I have learned about Earth biology, and human psychology, and the nature of domestication, and several existential questions about predatory hierarchies in the galaxy. Take all the time you need, Jiwan said cheerfully. She looked down at the sleeping puppies. I should probably take these 2 back to my dorm. They need lunch and a nap. They are already napping, Thornbeak pointed out. They need a better nap, Jiwan clarified. In their proper beds. She stood to leave, but Hyeri called out. Jiwan, wait. Can I ask something? Of course, Hyeri's spikes rattled nervously. You said humans domesticated many species. How do you choose which ones to domesticate and which ones to eliminate? The room went quiet again. It was a heavy question and everyone wanted to hear the answer. Jiwan considered this carefully. I do not think humans choose in any organized way. It just happens based on whether a species is useful, whether it adapts to living near humans, and sometimes just whether we think it is cute. Many species went extinct because humans needed their territory or food sources. Some were hunted for sport or resources. But some survived because they learned to live alongside us or because humans decided to protect them. And dogs chose to live alongside you, Crix said slowly. They made themselves useful. They made themselves loved, Jiwan corrected gently. Useful is important, but humans will protect and care for animals even when they are not useful. We spend resources on sick animals, old animals, animals that cannot work. We do it because we bond with them. She smiled down at Bori and Hanul. These 2 will never hunt for me. They will never protect my home or herd livestock. They are just puppies who will grow into companion dogs. But I will feed them, care for them, play with them, and protect them for their entire lives. That is the deal. They give loyalty and love, and we give them everything they need. That seems like an unequal exchange, Blorp bubbled. You give more than you receive. Maybe, Jiwan acknowledged. But humans do not seem to mind. We like having animals around. It makes us happy. She left the laboratory carrying the sleeping puppies carefully. The door closed behind her, leaving the remaining students and instructor in contemplative silence. Velthar turned to address the class. I believe we all learned something important today. Predatory success is not always about physical dominance. Sometimes it is about adaptation and partnership. Class dismissed. The students filed out slowly, many of them still processing what they had witnessed. In the hallway, small groups formed, discussing the presentation in hushed tones. Did you see how they just fell asleep? Whiskers said to her friends. Completely vulnerable. They trust the human absolutely. Because they were engineered to trust, Crix replied. That is the disturbing part. Humans did not conquer wolves through force. They reprogrammed them through breeding. It is kind of beautiful, though, Thornbeak admitted reluctantly, that level of trust and partnership. It is kind of terrifying, Scales countered. Humans can look at a predator and think, I can make this love me. What kind of species does that? The debate continued as they walked toward the dormitories. Meanwhile, in her room, Jiwon set up a temporary play area for Bori and Hanul. She had requisitioned a corner of the dormitory suite and filled it with soft bedding, toys, food and water bowls, and training pads. The puppies woke up hungry and energetic, tumbling over each other to reach their food bowls. Yeri watched from her sleeping platform, her earlier nervousness slowly fading. They are kind of cute, she admitted, right? Jiwon said enthusiastically. Wait until they learn their names properly, and I am going to start basic training tomorrow. They are smart enough to learn commands already. You will teach predators to obey commands? They are not really predators anymore, Jiwon said. They are companions who happen to have predatory ancestry. I think that is what scares everyone, Yeri said thoughtfully. Not what they are now, but what they represent. Proof that humans can change predators into something else entirely. Over the next few weeks, something unexpected happened. Despite the unsettling revelations from Jiwon's presentation, students began visiting her dormitory to see the puppies. It started with Yeri, who began helping with basic care. Then Whisker stopped by, curious about the small creatures she had only seen briefly. Bori and Hanul were delighted by the attention. They greeted every visitor with enthusiasm, tails wagging, trying to lick any available surface. They did not care that Crix had an exoskeleton instead of skin, or that Blorp was gelatinous, or that Thornbeak had sharp talons. To the puppies, everyone was a potential friend, and slowly, hesitantly, the aliens began to bond with them. Crix found himself stopping by 3 times a week, bringing toys he had printed from the fabricators. They need mental stimulation, he explained. Predators require enrichment. They are puppies, Jiwon said, amused. But thank you. They love the toys. Thornbeak started sitting on the floor during visits, letting the puppies climb on her despite her initial fear. They are very determined, she said as Hanul tried to nibble on her feathers. And surprisingly persistent. That is the pack bonding behavior I mentioned, Jiwon explained. They want to be part of your social group. It is working, Thornbeak admitted. I am becoming attached to them. Even Velthar occasionally drifted by, observing the puppies with scientific interest that gradually became genuine affection. They have very distinct personalities, the instructor noted. Bori is more adventurous, while Hanul is more cautious but also more affectionate. You have been studying them, Jiwon said, pleased. They are an excellent example of domestication psychology, Velthar replied. And also, they are very charming. One evening, about a month after the presentation, Jiwon returned to her dorm to find an unexpected gathering. At least a dozen students had crowded into the common area, all watching Bori and Hanul play. The puppies had grown noticeably, their coordination improving, though they still tripped over their own feet regularly. What is happening? Jiwon asked Hyeri. Someone suggested puppy playtime, Hyeri explained. Word spread. Now it is becoming a regular thing. Jiwon watched as Crix dangled a toy for Bori to chase while Whiskers carefully petted Hanul, her small paws gentle despite her nervousness. Thornbeak supervised from above, occasionally swooping down to retrieve a toy that had rolled too far away. Even Scales was present, sitting at a safe distance but clearly engaged with the activity. Security Chief Tajin stopped by during his rounds, his 4 eyes taking in the scene. He found Jiwon watching from the doorway. I owe you an apology, Tajin said. I implemented excessive security measures for your presentation. You were just being careful, Jiwon replied. I appreciate that you take safety seriously. I thought you were bringing a monster, Taejin admitted. Instead, you brought teachers. Teachers? Look at them, Taejin gestured toward the students. A month ago, they were terrified of Earth predators. Now they are learning about trust, partnership, and the benefits of cross-species cooperation. Your presentation changed how they think about predation and survival. I just wanted to share something important about Earth, Jiwon said. Dogs are special to us. I wanted everyone to understand why. You succeeded, Taejin said. Though I am not sure you understand the full impact. These students will graduate and spread across the galaxy. They will tell others about the human who brought puppies instead of monsters, about the species that befriends predators instead of fighting them. He paused, then added quietly, that is a powerful message about humanity, perhaps more powerful than any demonstration of strength would have been. 2 months after the presentation, as the semester drew to a close, Jiwon received an unexpected message. It was from Minho, back on Earth. Hey sis, you won't believe this. The Galactic Academy has requested permission to start a xenobiology exchange program. They want to send students to Earth to study domestication techniques and human-animal bonding. Apparently, your presentation caused a lot of interest in Earth biology. The Cultural Exchange Department is processing applications from 17 different species who want to learn more about how humans interact with animals. You kind of started something big. Also, Mom says hi and wants to know if Bori and Hanul are behaving.